With 15 engineering disciplines and 125 centers nationwide, IEI provides a global platform for the engineers to perform technical and industrial-based trainings. Our same local center, SLC, actively promotes technical excellence through lectures, industrial basics, and much more. Now, please join me in welcoming Dr. K. Tangarat sir, member of CPDB, IEI, and chairman of IEI SLC, for delivering the welcome address. We welcome you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Jayashree. அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். My proud student and today's chief guest and keynote speaker, Engineer M. Sriram Abhimanyu, our beloved honorary secretary, Dr. C. Gaunendan, committee members of Tamil Nadu State Center and Salem Local Center, engineers, team members, our MOC Ms. Jayashree, esteemed dignitaries, distinguished guests, faculty members, and dear participants, and our IEI staff. Good evening and warm welcome to all of you. It's with great pleasure and honor that I welcome you all to this edition of Engineers Talk Series, organized by the Division of Engineers India Salem Local Center, as we proudly celebrating our 30th anniversary milestone. As Jayashree mentioned, so we already know IE has been a beacon of engineering excellence, innovation, and professional development, serving the community for over a century. As part of our continuous effort to empower engineers with knowledge and industry insights, we are delighted to host these again special lecture under the aegis of Computer Engineering Division Board, the webinar 66. Today, we are privileged to have with us an eminent speaker, Engineer M. Sriman Abhimanyu, Senior Front-End Developer at Web Synergies India Private Limited. He will be sharing his experience on UI, UX, and front-end engineering, the career path. In an era where user experience and interface design play a crucial role in digital transformation, this session will be highly insightful for students, professionals, and aspiring engineers alike. On behalf of IESL Local Center, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speaker for accepting our invitation and taking the time to share his valuable knowledge with us today. I also appreciate the enthusiastic participation of all attendees who contribute to making this event a grand success. Before we begin, I would like to remind everyone that these again session will be conducted via Zoom, and all participants will receive an e-certificate. We encourage you to actively participate and make the most of this learning opportunity. Once again, I welcome you all and look forward to an engaging and enlightening session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's my honor to extend my warm welcome to our distinguished guest, Mr. Sriman Abhimanyu Muthukumaran. With over a decade of expertise in front-end architecture and UI UX design, he has played a pivotal role in executing large-scale projects and advancing user experience innovations. Currently serving as a senior front-end developer at Web Synergies, his expertise spans technologies such as Versatile React and Java. We are privileged to have him with us today to share his valuable insights. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Sriman Abhimanyu Muthukumaran. Sir, the virtual stage is yours.
Thank you. I hope my audio is visible. Audio is clear and my video is visible.
Yes, Abhimanyu.
Let me share my screen real quick. So I hope you are all able to see my screen. So today's topic is going to be on UI UX and front-end engineering, the career roadmap. So let me introduce myself. So I'm Sriman Abhimanyu Muthukumaran. So I have a postgraduate degree in advanced computing from University of Bristol in UK, and I did my bachelor's in Sona College, 2014 pass out batch. And I'm currently a senior front-end developer, but I would call myself a full stack engineer, working in web synergies. But I'm currently working on my startup idea. I have over 10 plus years of experience in crafting interfaces and experience. So right from my career starting, I have been working in UI UX design and development both. And my passion is to teach students and professionals in UI UX design and full stack development. You can make a note of my contact number to reach me anytime for UI UX related queries, maybe in your career path, or if you have any requirements for learning, you can definitely reach me out. Okay. Yeah. So let me proceed. So what do they mean? So many people think that UI UX design and front end engineering are the same. But to clarify, they are not the same and they are interlinked, but they are not really the same. So let me tell you the difference. So UI UX designing is the art of experience. It is a process of designing digital products like website, mobile application, or any software to ensure that they are visually appealing, they are easy to use, and they provide a seamless experience for users. So UI UX designing lies mostly in how the product looks and how it feels interact with it. And it is all about creating meaningful and user friendly and aesthetically pleasing digital experiences. It blends psychology, creativity, and technology to craft products. So many people think if you know colors and if you know Figma or any other tool, you can become a UI UX designer. No, but if you really want to capture the user experience and if you want to really win people's attractions, you need to have psychology at your backend to know how people really think and how to inculcate the enthusiasm in people while using your digital product. So user interface is the look and feel of a digital products. It can include colors, the buttons, icons, typography, spacing and layouts, and many other components. So UI design is the elements that the usual elements that the users interact with. And next is user experience. So user experience is the flow and usability of a product. So it focuses on how users they interact with the interface, like smooth navigation, accessibility, and an intuitive journey. For example, let's say you have a button which will ask you to register, and while clicking on that button, a subtle animation that would appear would make you feel good. So that is the user experience and how the button looks, what is the color, what is the font that needs to go in. That will all fall under user interface design. So many people actually confuse UI and UX, but they are two different extremes. So UI is how it really looks, and UX, that is user experience, is how it really feels to work with. And what is front-end engineering? So front-end engineering is the technical execution of UI UX design. So you have a UI UX designer who will create the design for you, probably, let's say an example of a web application. So you will have multiple pages in the web application, and the good UI UX designer will have all the pages designed for you in a tool like Figma or Adobe XD. So front-end engineering is the technical execution or conversion of that UI UX design into functional and interactive experiences using code. So we front-end engineers typically build the client side of websites. That is what you see in the browser and what you interact with. So it need not technically be a browser. It can also be your mobile device, where it is a native application that is that you install from your Play Store or App Store. So whatever you feel and interact with, that is brought into life from how a UI UX designer designs. So that is front-end engineering. So front-end engineer typically builds the client side of websites and application using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and any other JavaScript related frameworks. Like people will be familiar with React.js or Angular, and there is some emerging technologies like Vue.js and Svelte. And we also implement animations, transitions, and dynamic UI elements for a smoother experience. Next is to ensure that the apps are responsive. Responsive in the sense that it works well on different screen sizes. So let's say I'm designing a website for any of my client. So I should make sure that the website is responsive across all devices. Let's say from a large monitor to a small mobile device, the all the components should be rendered, and the text should be readable, and it should be interactable. Next, we should optimize the performance for speed and efficiency. Like the pages should load fast. So there are many components that measure the speed and efficiency. So we should make sure all those components are satisfied while building the application. Next is collaborating with UI UX designers to ensure that the final product matches with the vision. So a UI UX designer would have had a vision in their mind while designing a product. So we should collaborate with them to make sure that they their design and their vision matches with what we have built using the code. Okay, so now how do they really differ? Let us look at few aspects on how UI UX and front-end engineering differs. Okay, so the first focus. So UI UX design focuses mainly on visuals and experience, while front-end engineering, it focuses mainly on code and functionality. A good front-end engineer need not be a good UI UX designer, and vice versa. A UI UX designer need not be a good front-end engineer, but it is the best quality if you have both design and development aspect in your skill set. So next is tools. A UI UX designer would be familiar with tools like Figma, Adobe XD, Sketch, Photoshop, Illustrator, etc. And a good front-end engineer would be familiar with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React. And there are much more concepts to JavaScript that a good front-end engineer needs to know that we will be covering in the upcoming slides. Then is the process. So how does a UI UX designer work? He first research on what the customer needs and what the problem is, and then they convert it to a wireframe. Then they convert that wireframe, which is a low-level design, into a high-level design called prototype, and they test the prototype with real users so that it satisfies or it solves the design problem. And how does a front-end engineer works? They take the tested prototype and they code it into a working model. They debug if there is any problems, and then they optimize it for the best performance. So next is goal. So the ultimate goal of a UI UX designer is to create delightful designs and create designs that are visually aesthetic. Whereas the goal of a front-end engineer is to make the designs that the UI UX designer created into an interactive one. So in a design, when you deliver a design, you will not be able to interact with a button. So that will all be brought into life with a front-end engineer. So let's see how to get started with UI UX. So if you are going to start on UI UX designing, the first thing that we need to study is color theory, typography, and layouts. So theory is a very huge topic when you study. So what it deals with is how do colors represent mood and how do colors represent your style. So let's say if you are designing for a luxury brand, you cannot use colors that are very kiddish or very cartoonish. You will have to use colors that are very emphasizing, and what do you call, and they depict luxury in them. So using colors like black or gold or black with a kind of a green is all in the sets the right mood. So understanding color theory is more important. And typography. Typography is the fonts that you use in your application or your screens. So there are lots of types of fonts that you can see. So one is called sans serif, one is called serif, and display fonts and mono fonts and Unicode fonts. So there are a lot of fonts that you need to study, and you need to know where to use what kind of font. So there are specific situations where you have to use a sans serif font, and there are specific situations where you will have to use a serif-based font. So you need to understand the basic concepts of typography to understand to use them, and layouts. So in today modern UI UX design, there are over 30 types of layouts that are being used. So some of the familiar things that we are using is grid layout, what we see in YouTube or Amazon when we go in. So these are called grid based layouts, and one is called card based layouts, what we use in Instagram. So card-based layout is a collection of components, and much more like multi-panel layouts like what we use in Gmail and Outlook. So we need to understand color theory, typography, and layouts to get started with UI UX designing. So next is learning psychological aspects of UI UX design. So from the first slide, I've been emphasizing on using psychological aspects. So why is psychological aspects very important to UI UX design? Because you need to understand your user in order to provide a good design. Because there are a lot of aspects that go into a user's mind. For example, the place that they live in, the language that they speak, or the demography, or probably the time they are in, or the emotions that they convey, etc. So they are all very important when you want people to interact. So for example, let's say you cannot use Christmas themed layout when you are designing for a Diwali design. So you need to understand the psychological aspects. And when you want to create layouts for mobile application, you need to understand how user uses their mobile, what is the touch area, and what is the reach area, and what is the vision area. So we need to see what is the hardest area to reach and all those stuff. So these come under psychological aspects. Then we must study design principles like Hicks law, Fitts law, and Gestalt principles. So they are all laws that state how to design an element in a UI UX design, and how to place them, and how to give choices to the users, etc. For example, I'll brief you about the Hicks law. So the statement of Hicks, definition of Hicks law is, the more number of choices that you give to the users, the more complicated the users will feel, and the more time they will take to interact with the application. So you should limit your choices that you give to the users so that people take lesser time to interact with it and they interact more. Next is to learn Figma or Adobe XD. So Figma is one of the leading kingpins of UI UX design tools that is being used in modern UI UX designing. So across the globe, when you search for UI UX designer job, the very first requirement that they ask for is Figma. So is Figma enough for UI UX designing? Not necessarily, but Figma is the primary aspect that you need to have, primary skill set that you need to have when you are into UI UX designing. And not just UI UX designing, even when you are going to focus on front end development, that is the technical part, you need to know Figma in some aspect so that you can convert the vision of the UI UX designer into pixel perfect working code. And Adobe XD is an equivalent of Figma that was created by Adobe. It is used mainly for prototyping. That is like when you have one screen, and when you click on a button, how it should navigate and what page should it take to, etc. And we should follow the UI UX experts and analyze real world designs. So you can look into Pinterest, or there are many design inspiration sites like Behance or Dribble or Awards, etc. So you need to follow them, UI UX experts, and analyze the real world designs on how they are creating designs, how they are creating award winning designs, so that you will get an understanding of how they use the color theory, typography, layouts, and psychological aspects into building a good UI UX design. Next is to work on real projects. So one such example can be a redesign an existing app. For example, let's say you are using Gmail, and you, as a UI UX designer, didn't feel that these aspects of UI Gmail can be designed better. So you can redesign an existing app and show it in your portfolio. So that will give your portfolio a sense of weightage, and they will come to know about the process that you have, the design process that you have, the thinking process that you have put behind this redesign, etc. Or you can create a UI kit. So UI kit, in the sense, there are a lot of frameworks today that front-end engineers use. For example, Bootstrap, or Semantic UI, or Tailwind CSS, or Flowbyte, etc. So you can see how they are created. And these UI kits are typically a collection of components like buttons, drop downs, input fields, form layouts, and card designs, how an image is represented, and what is the font that is used, etc. So you can try to build your own UI kit using Figma, and then show your thought process behind this. So this is how you can get started with UI UX designing. And next is starting front-end engineering. So we need to get familiar with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So we need to understand how JavaScript engine works, how JavaScript renders content onto a browser, and what if there is no JavaScript enabled in the browser. So there are a few instances where JavaScript will be blocked by the browser. So in that case, how does JavaScript engine really deliver content to the browser? So these are the basics of HTML and CSS and JavaScript. So, and next we should get familiar with object-oriented programming paradigm. So the OOPS concepts is very strong in JavaScript, that when you attend any front-end engineer interview, people will be asking questions based off OOPS concept. For example, you need to create a class, and what is abstraction in JavaScript. So we would be familiar with using those OOPS paradigm with other programming languages like C++ or Java. We should all, when you want to start with front-end engineering, you should also be familiar with how to use the OOPS concept in JavaScript. And we should have a deep understanding of data structures and algorithms. Yeah, I know data structures and algorithms, many college students really feel it tough. But when you understand how a real world, how it is used in the real world, you will enjoy studying data structures and algorithms. And trust me, I have always had a good time studying data structures during my college time, because the professor who taught me, they told what is the real usage of the data structures and algorithms in real life. For example, let me give you an example. For doubly linked list, we would see, okay, it's just a node, and it points to a next node. It has a next and a previous node which points. Okay, but the real life use is in a YouTube music or YouTube video. So you have you start with a video, and you have the next, which will go to the next video or next song that you're listening to in a music player. And the previous, when you click on the previous thing, it will come to the previous song that you were listening to. So that is a simple linked list, doubly linked list, with next and previous, where the first doesn't have a previous and the last node doesn't have a next. So when you relate data structures and algorithms to the real life examples, you will understand them better, and you will get to know how it is used in front-end engineering. And we need to practice a lot of object-oriented programming and data structure problems in many sites like HackerRank and LeetCode. Next, we should learn frameworks like React, Vue, Svelte, or Angular. React is the first preferred JavaScript framework that is prevalent in the market today, followed by Angular, then with Vue and Svelte. So Vue and Svelte are emerging JavaScript libraries and frameworks, but it is gaining popularity, but React and Angular are the most prevalent one. So next is, we should understand how responsive design and performance optimization works. So in the sense, we should know that how to create designs that cater for mobile, tablets, laptops, desktop, and large screen monitors. And we should know how to write code for that. And we should also know how to optimize your code for performance. So there are many web vitals that we use to monitor the performance. So you should learn about the web vitals. And for example, one web vital I'll tell you, that is called first contentful paint. So that is the time that is taken by the initial content to be delivered onto your screen. So we should know how web vitals work and how to optimize them to achieve a greater performance in the code. Next, we should practice coding real UI components from Figma designs. So first, we should know how to integrate CSS libraries like Bootstrap, Tailwind, Semantic UI, Foundation, etc. into our code and create components. Next, when you get familiar with the CSS concepts, you should know, even without any CSS frameworks, you should know how to create a CSS styling and use them in the real code. And probably to add more to this, you can also study CSS preprocesses like SCSS or SAS. And we should also get familiar with version control like GitHub and Git principles. Next is task management tools like Jira and how to integrate them with the version controls. And we should also know about the deployment tools like CI/CD pipeline. So you might wonder why this version control, task management, and deployment all comes into front-end engineering. Once you write your code, you'll have to store them in some kind of code storage. So that is for version control. So you'll need to create branches in your basic Git, and then you'll need to store them. And you need to link them to the task management so that all your tasks are being tracked. And deployment. So even, in today's world, DevOps and CI/CD pipeline are in the rise. So we need to understand at least the basics so that we get a knowledge of whole designing. And we should contribute to open source project, or we should build your own portfolio site. So there are multiple open source projects that is available in GitHub. So you can either contribute to you can take an issue and contribute it to it, or you can build your own portfolio site that will showcase your coding skills. So let's see how a typical day looks like for a UI UX designer and a front-end engineer. Okay, so UI UX designing, we do research about the competitors, we analyze user feedback, we sketch ideas and work on wireframes, and we refine designs in Figma, collaborate with developers to make sure the vision of the product matches with the code, and we need to prototype the interactions using Figma or Adobe XD. Next, we need to conduct usability testing with real users or a select of specific set of users, and then we need to iterate based on feedback. This is typically called design thinking process, where it is a 5-step process. So first step is empathize. Empathize is getting to understand your user, who the user is, what their problem is, and what they are looking for in your design. Next is ideate. Next is define. So we need to define what the problem that the user has, and we need to restrict the amount of problem statements as much as we can, because not every problem can be solved by the business. So we need to align our design goals, the business needs, business restrictions, and the user needs into a single thing. Next is ideate. So we need to come up with ideas of how we can solve this issues. So let's say you have empathized with the user, you connected with the user and found out for a particular problem in a particular app, you could have they are requesting for 10 different features, but you come to a definition that only 3 features are possible in the first in this year, and you will be giving solutions for these 3 problems. Next is to come up with solutions for these three problems, where you will you will brainstorm with your team members, your clients, your stakeholders, and real users, and to come up with a lot of ideas. Then you should prototype. So based on your idea, you will be prototyping, that you'll be sketching ideas, you'll be working on wireframes, and you will be creating the designs in Figma. And you will also be collaborating with the developers, where you will know what framework that they will be using, and what is the limitation of the framework that we need to consider while designing. So we might have a fancy animation that is going on in the loading screen, and fancy looking layout, but there can be restrictions with the framework that the UI front end engineers are using. So we need to collaborate with them to understand their limitations, and then come up with the prototypes. Next is to test. The fifth step is to test on users. So we need to show that design to users or clients or stakeholders, whoever it may be, and then get their feedback. And if there are any positive criticism or constructive criticism, we try to integrate that and then repeat the entire process again and again. So UI UX designer would have these typical tasks in their day. And next is front-end engineering. So what we will do is we will review the tickets. We will have debugging of issues where any previous written code might have a bug with a new data or etc. And we would write JavaScript functions and build components. So it's not necessarily JavaScript functions. We might also have other functions where we need to connect to the database, or any other SQL query that we will be doing. You might think, what does a front-end engineer has to do with the SQL query? But when you have to show data, correct data into your uh, dashboard or into your website, you need to have a database connection and then establish that. Next is building components. So the first aim of any front-end engineer would be to reuse the code as much as possible. So we should build code that where we can reuse it multiple times, and we should not be writing it over and again and again and again. So let's say if I have a button, I should create a component of a button where I can reuse it in multiple places. So let's say I have 10 pages and I have 10 instances of the button. I should not be coding the button 10 times. Instead, I should be coding it only once and using it in 10 different places, so that if I have a change requested, I need not rewrite it in 10 different places. Instead, I can rewrite it in one place, and all the 10 different places where I have called the instance of the button will be changed. And integrate APIs. So APIs are application programming interfaces. So they are usually the connect between the backend engineers and the front end engineers. So we need to integrate the APIs into our application, so that we can bring in the data that the backend uses. So let's say you are working on your company is working on something like ChatGPT. The Python engineers or the machine learning engineers, they will come up with APIs where you will, the front end, we will have a query written in the chat box, and when you press enter, it will go as a parameter to the backend, and the backend will process that and give back the result. So in order to establish the connection, we need to use APIs where the backend data can be showed into the front end, and front end requests can be transferred to the backend, and they communicate seamlessly. And next is to test on multiple devices. Let's say you're working on an application which is a web application. So you need to test it on multiple devices, like large size monitors, Mac machines, Windows machine with a lower processor, and mobile phones with small screens, large screens, and with a poor internet connection, or with a strong 5G network, and a tablet, probably in horizontal orientation, or portrait or landscape orientation, etc. So we need to test on multiple devices under multiple circumstances. Next, when we did all of this, we need to optimize the code so that it works efficiently and it works in a faster way in all the devices and in all situations. Next is to push the updates to production. So any code that you have will always have 2 to 3 branches. So So the production will be the one that the real users are using, and there will be a test branch where you'll be pushing your development code so that people can test and we can find bugs, and the development branch where really the development happens and it can break. And when you are pushing to production, we need to make sure that no code breaks are allowed, and we need to review the pull request. So when you have a multiple team of front end engineers who are working in multiple features of a product, and when they all want to integrate it, we all do it via a pull request. So this is all a concept of Git or version control. So we need to review those and make sure that the code is of good quality. Okay, so let's come into the main topic, the career roadmap. Okay, so UI UX designing. So when you are a beginner, let's say you are a fresher who are looking to start your career in UI UX design, first try to learn what I said, color theory, typography, layouts, and psychology. Then learn Figma. Create very small designs like probably a one-page website of you in a portfolio, and take part in design challenges. There are lots of design challenges that are being conducted online. Try to take part in them, and you can become familiar with how the tools work and how really the designers are today. And if you are intermediate, you can start working on UX research, user testing, and prototyping. And if you are experienced somewhere between 3 to 5 years, you can start leading design teams and specialize in interaction design or accessibility. So accessibility today is taking a large importance in every field. So we need to make sure our design is accessible to people with special needs. Like people may have vision impairments, people may have audio impairments, or people might have motion sickness, etc. So we need to cater to all segment of people through our designs. And let's say if you are an expert who is like 5+ years of experience, you need to become a UI UX strategist, and you need to strategize your designs in such a way that every other people would get inspired from your design. And we need to start mentoring other people, or obviously is the entrepreneurship journey where you can start your own design agency. So any even if you want to start your own design agency, you should be like familiar with how to build amazing designs, how to build amazing interfaces and user experience. So next is front-end engineering. So if you are a beginner, or if you are just out of college, start learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and build simple landing pages. If you are in your first year or second year, or if you're trying to get into front-end engineering, learn JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and start building applications, or try to replicate how applications are. So you can take dummy data, which is available in internet lot today. You can take dummy data, and then you can recreate the applications. For example, you can take your own Gmail, try to implement it using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and then see how it works. And if you are intermediate, let's say you are in final year and you know some frameworks, or you're already working as a front-end engineer with over like 1 or 2 years of experience, you can master React, Angular, or Vue, or Svelte, and start working with APIs and contribute to open source projects. So mastering any front-end framework will give you an advantage over just having HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Because when you know only HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, people will technically tag you as a web developer. But when you have a JavaScript framework like React, Vue, Angular, or Svelte in your hand, people will tag you as a front-end engineer. So there is a massive difference between a web developer and a front-end developer. So try to master any front-end frameworks like React. And if you are somewhere between 3 to 5 years of experience, or in your master's degree, try to work on projects where you can optimize performance, and you can lead on projects and work on complex web applications, or work on complex designs. If you're an expert, you should try to become a front-end architect, and you should get specialized in Web3 architecture, and you should know how to use AI with UI design, or UI development, front-end development, so that you can make use of AI as a collaborator and then build complex designs and animations and complex features. So this is the career roadmap that I wanted to share with you all. So thank you for your patient listening. And if you have any questions, um, I'm open for discussion, or you can contact me anytime. I'll probably display my contact information again for your reference. So any questions or any doubts that you want me to clarify?
The session is open for queries. Anybody wanted to ask anything?
Sriman, I have a doubt. For the entry level, what are the minimum qualification the student must have to become front-end designer?
Yes, sir. So for a UI UX designer, I would say the first thing that they should know is Figma or Adobe XD. But learning Figma in today's world is very easy. There are a lot of courses available on online like Udemy and YouTube, so they can learn Figma. And they should be familiar with some of the UI UX concepts, like what are the design principles like Hicks law, Fitts law, or Gestalt's law, etc. So that they can come up with interesting designs, and they can do amazing job in understanding the user. And if they wanted to really know, I mean, get into front-end engineering, they can learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and some basics of either CSS framework like Tailwind CSS or Bootstrap, and a JavaScript framework like React.
Yeah, Sriman, what kind of project they can undergo at the initial stage?
Um, Initial stage, they can probably work on their like very simple app. So there are a lot of websites today, sir. So there are websites that give you basic project ideas. Even ChatGPT can suggest you like lots of project ideas. For example, like I can suggest few project ideas like building a minimal to-do list, uh, both in terms of design and front-end engineering, I'm telling. You build a to-do list with mild animations and animations for delete and adding, etc. Or you can build your own calculator app, or you can build your personal diary where every day you can log in your thoughts, your mood, and how are you feeling, and what went well today, what, etc. So that you can reflect on your feelings. So these are some of the sample projects that they can really come up with. Or if they are really interested into a framework, they can build a small dashboard, like a sales dashboard, where it can show what is the total sales today, what is the total uh, uh, expenses that happened today, and what is the number of clients that approach today, who are the new clients. So they can show samples of that data. For that, and there are lots of free APIs available on the internet, and fake data are available on the internet for them to start practicing. So these are the kind of projects that I would suggest working on as they want to get into front end or UI design.
Yeah, thank you, Sriman.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. As we conclude this enlightening session, I would like to express my deep gratitude to Mr. Sriman Abhimanyu Muthukumaran for sharing his expertise with us today. Your valuable insights have significantly enhanced our understanding. I would also like to thank the participants and your. And I would like to thank the faculty members who have arranged for this meeting. I would now I would like to hand over the session to ma'am for giving the vote of thanks so that we can formally conclude this webinar.
Thank you, Jayashree. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Most respected our chief guest and keynote speaker, Engineer M. Sriman Abhimanyu sir, our beloved chairman, Dr. K. Tangaraj sir, respected committee members from states and local center, respected fellow engineers and students from various organizations. Good evening to all. It's my privilege to propose vote of thanks on this great special lecture under the aegis of IEI Computer Engineering Division Board. This webinar is 66th webinar series. The topic is on UI UX and front end engineering, the career roadmap. On behalf of IEI Salem Local Center, it's my great pleasure to express my deep-felt thanks to our chief guest and keynote speaker, Shri Engineer M. Sriman Abhimanyu sir, Senior Front-End Developer, WIP Synergies India Private Limited. Sir, thank you for sharing your insights, guiding us through career opportunities and inspiring us with your expertise, sir. So your valuable insight into the UI, UX and front-end engineering, the career roadmap have truly enriched our understanding. Thank you so much, sir. My sincere thanks to our beloved chairman, sir, Dr. K. Tangaraj, for the effort of the organizing the team and their seamless coordination. I extend my sincere thanks to our engineer stock team series, Dr. R. Satish Kumar sir, Dr. A. Kumaravel sir, Engineer N. Arumugam sir, Engineer K. S. Selvam sir, all the dedicated team members who worked tirelessly behind to ensure the smooth execution of this event. I have to appreciate Ms. Jayashree, students of Sona College of Technology for excellent MOC. Thank you, Jayashree. I record my sincere thanks to Mr. Tyagu for his ensuring that everything is run smoothly from everything. So we appreciate the participation and hope this session was insightful. Looking forward to more. Once again, thank you all, and I look forward to future collaboration and continued discussion on this important topic. Thank you once again. Thank you one and all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sriman sir. Thank you, Jayashree. Thank you, Chairman sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Jayashree, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Bila madam.
Everyone for
Thank
attending
you.
this meeting.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam.